Picture this. It's morning, the alarm just went off, and before your day even begins, you've already stumbled into a maze of tiny questions. What shirt should I wear? Should I make coffee or tea? Do I check messages now or later? These choices feel harmless, but each one quietly chips away at your energy. Psychologists have a name for this slow drain: decision fatigue. It's the invisible tax you pay every time you choose, and by lunchtime, it can leave you foggy, impatient, and running on fumes.
Mark Zuckerberg figured this out long before most of us even had the words for it. That's why you almost never see him without his signature gray t-shirt. To outsiders, it looks like a style quirk, maybe even a lack of imagination. In reality, it's a carefully designed system. By removing the trivial question of what should I wear today, Zuckerberg protects his focus for the decisions that actually matter, the ones that shape the future of one of the biggest tech companies in the world. His wardrobe is basically a stack of duplicates, a uniform chosen not for fashion, but for efficiency.
Here's the hook. If something this simple works for a billionaire CEO, what would happen if you applied the same principle to your own daily routine?
We tend to underestimate how exhausting small decisions are. Think about standing in front of a supermarket shelf lined with 50 different boxes of cereal. You compare prices, flavors, health claims, maybe even the design of the packaging. You finally grab one and walk away. 5 minutes, problem solved. But your brain feels heavier afterward. That same micro-exhaustion shows up later when you sit down to study, focus on work, or make an important phone call.
The paradox is simple. The more options you have, the less energy you keep. Each extra choice burns a little willpower, and those withdrawals come from the same account you need for real life-changing decisions. By the time you actually reach the moments that matter, whether that's pitching an idea, solving a tough problem, or having a hard conversation, you're not running on full strength anymore. I learned this lesson the hard way. For years, I wasted 20 minutes every morning just deciding what to wear. It felt normal, almost like part of the ritual of waking up. But when I finally sat down to do creative work, I realized my mind was already cluttered. So I tried the Zuckerberg hack. I picked a handful of outfits I liked and treated them as my personal uniform. No more daily puzzles. The difference was immediate. My mornings felt lighter, my focus stayed sharper, and my energy lasted longer into the day. That's when it hit me. Simplifying small choices isn't about being boring. It's about reclaiming mental power. And it's not just intuition. Research backs this up. A Harvard study found that every additional option presented to someone can reduce their motivation by up to 20%. Just the presence of more possibilities, whether it's clothing, food, or browser tabs, quietly drains the drive to act. The brain freezes under the weight of too many paths, and productivity stalls. That's why Zuckerberg's closet full of gray t-shirts isn't just a quirky detail for journalists to joke about. It's a form of mental armor, shielding him from the avalanche of unnecessary options. Inside Facebook, this philosophy even became a running joke. Employees talked about Gray T-shirt Day when several people would accidentally show up dressed like their boss. On the surface, it was funny, but at a deeper level, it was a symbol of the same paradox. The fewer trivial decisions you make, the more clarity you gain for the big ones. Zuckerberg isn't the first to weaponize minimalism. Steve Jobs made the black turtleneck iconic. Jobs wore it almost every day, not because he lacked taste, but because he understood the power of ritual. His uniform became a shield against distraction. Each time he stepped on stage in that simple outfit, it sent the same message: focus, consistency, authority. Barack Obama adopted a similar tactic in the White House. During his presidency, he admitted he only wore gray or blue suits. His reasoning was brutally practical. I don't want to make decisions about what I'm eating or wearing because I have too many other decisions to make. Even his collection of nearly identical blue ties became a form of mental armor. Stories swirl around these leaders. There's a rumor that in 2010, Zuckerberg and Jobs had breakfast together and traded thoughts on clothing as ritual.
Jobs defended his turtleneck. Zuckerberg, still in his 20s, was just starting to experiment with the idea. Whether the meeting happened or not, the legend makes sense. Great leaders often find power in stripping away the trivial.
There's even an anecdote about Obama joking with Zuckerberg that he should stock up on identical ties. The joke underlined a serious truth. Uniformity isn't limiting, it's liberating. By choosing once, you protect yourself from choosing again and again. What connects Jobs, Obama, and Zuckerberg isn't the clothing itself, it's the strategy. Each of them turned personal style into a system, a way of shielding their attention so they could aim it where it mattered most. By the mid-2010s, Zuckerberg's gray t-shirt had become part of his public identity. Journalists wrote entire pieces about his uniform, pointing out that nearly every photo of him, whether at a press conference, a product launch, or walking into the office, looked the same. When asked directly about it, Zuckerberg gave a simple answer that shut down the mockery. I want to spend my willpower on important things, on the future, on community, on technology. That single line became a manifesto. His closet isn't a handful of shirts. It's rumored to hold over 100 nearly identical ones, bought for around €10 each in California. No designer brands, no luxury, just endless rows of sameness. The irony is striking. One of the most powerful figures in tech, worth billions, wears something you could buy at a campus store. But that's exactly the point. The shirt doesn't matter. The absence of choice does. Picture the scene. Early morning in the Zuckerberg household. Instead of staring into an overstuffed wardrobe, he walks to a closet that looks more like a server rack than a fashion display. Grab a shirt, move on. No hesitation. Meanwhile, his mind is already deep into questions about global platforms, product launches, and connecting the next billion people. The uniform fades into the background, exactly where it belongs. Zuckerberg didn't stop at his own closet. The same philosophy bled into how Meta itself was run. Leadership began cutting away the small, slow decisions that clogged workflows. Processes were streamlined, proposals trimmed. According to internal reports, the number of minor improvement requests dropped by about 30% once systems were standardized. That might sound like less innovation, but in practice, it meant fewer distractions and more energy for bold, long-term ideas. HR specialists noticed a clear pattern. When employees weren't bogged down debating small details, they made faster, stronger calls on strategy. Less time spent on, should this button be blue or green? More energy for, should we launch this product at all? Even the office environment reflected this mindset. In Meta cafeterias and break rooms, choices were deliberately limited. 2 blends of coffee instead of 10. A smaller set of menu options. Subtle but intentional. Each cut reinforced the culture. Clarity over clutter. One Meta team lead joked that the office had trained them to think bigger. The energy they once wasted on details was redirected to questions of global impact. In that sense, Zuckerberg's personal hack had scaled into a corporate operating system. If the gray t-shirt was Zuckerberg's first battlefield against decision fatigue, the next front is high-tech. In 2025, Meta quietly tested AI-powered glasses. Their goal wasn't to give you more information, it was to filter it. Instead of being bombarded with notifications, you'd only see what truly mattered. Reports say Zuckerberg himself wore early prototypes during deep work sessions. The glasses muted the digital noise and surfaced only critical alerts. Some insiders even whispered about experimental versions with biometric sensors, tracking stress and focus in real time. If your pulse spiked or your attention dipped, the AI adjusted, delaying low-priority emails, muting distractions, dimming irrelevant inputs. Whether or not these features ever go public, the idea reveals the next phase. Technology not as a thief of attention, but as its guardian. Analysts have already nicknamed it thought minimalism.
Just as a gray t-shirt removes one trivial decision, these glasses could erase hundreds of micro-interruptions every day. Imagine working on a project without your phone buzzing every 3 minutes. Instead, silence, focus, presence. Then, only when something essential happens, a message from your child, a sudden change to your meeting schedule, a quiet alert appears. That's the vision. Technology that doesn't hijack your focus, but protects it.
At the center of Zuckerberg's hack is a simple truth. Fewer small choices mean more energy for the big ones. Every gray t-shirt, every streamlined process, every filtered notification adds up to the same principle. Simplicity protects power. It's not about becoming rigid or robotic. It's about designing life so that your attention is spent on the future, not wasted on trivia.
Think about what we've covered. The science of decision fatigue, the paralysis of too many choices, the symbolic power of a uniform, the way Meta itself reshaped its culture, and even futuristic gadgets that filter distractions. All of it points in one direction. Clarity comes when we strip away noise.
So here's the challenge. What would your version of the gray t-shirt look like? You don't need a billionaire's closet or experimental glasses. You can start small. Choose 2 or 3 outfits that become your personal uniform. Set up a morning routine you run on autopilot. Cut your notifications down to the essentials. These tweaks sound trivial, but they free up hours of mental energy each week. I tried it myself, and the results were immediate. Fewer pointless choices meant more space for the work and people that actually matter. Creativity sharpened, focus deepened. Life didn't shrink, it expanded. That's the paradox of simplicity. Less isn't less. Less is more. The takeaway? Fewer choices don't reduce freedom, they multiply it. They give you clarity, presence, and the strength to focus on what matters most. Zuckerberg's gray t-shirt is just fabric, but the idea behind it can rewire your life. And this is just the start. If you're ready to explore more hacks that sharpen focus, protect attention, and transform how you spend willpower, stick around. The next step is learning how to design systems that guard your energy so you can use it where it matters most.